Hari Hari Bol.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
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 Narayanam Namaskritya
Narayanam Namaskritya
Naram Chaiva Narottamam
Naram Chaiva Narottamam
Devim Saraswatyam Vyasam
Devim Saraswati Vyasam
Tato Jayam Mudiraya.
Tato Jaya Mudiraya.
Before reciting Srimad Bhagavatam, the conquest, we first offer respectful obeisances unto the personality of Godhead, Lord Narayana, Mantinayana Rishi, Supramote human being, Mother Saraswati, Goddess of learning, and Srila Vyasadeva, the author. By regular attendance and practice of Bhagavad by the name of service to pure, all that is troublesome within the heart becomes destroyed to practically nil, and thus loving service unto the glorious Lord, who is praised with transcendental hymn, becomes established as an irrevocable fact. Okay, reading from the second canto, chapter 4, process of creation, and it's text number 8. Nunam Bhagavato Brahman Nunam Bhagavato Brahman Hare Abhuta Kamanaha Hare Abhuta Kamanaha Durvibhavyam Evabati Durvibhavyam Evabati Kavibis Chapi Chestitam Kavibis Chapi Chestitam Nunam Bhagavato Brahman Hare Abhuta Kamanaha Durvibhavyam Evabati Kavibis Chapi Chestitam Nunam Bhagavato Brahman Hare Abhuta Kamanaha Durvibhavyam Evabati Kavibis Chapi Chestitam Nunam Bhagavato Brahman Hare Abhuta Kamanaha Durvibhavyam Evabati Kavibis Chapi Chestitam
Nunam Bhagavata Brahman Hare Adbhuta Karmanaha Durvibhavyam Evabati Kavibhischapi Chestitam
Nunam Bhagavato
Brahman
Hare Abhuta Kamanaha Durvibhavyam Evabati
Kavibhischapi Chestitam Nunam Bhagavato Brahman Hare Abhuta karmanaha durvibhavyam ivabati kavivichapi chestitam nunam bhagavato brahman Haribhuta karmanaha durvibhavyam ibhavati kavivichapi chestitam nunam bhagavato brahman Haribhuta karmanaha durvibhavyam ibhavati kavivichapi chestitam
Nunam Bhagavato Brahman
Nunam bhagavato brahman
Harera Bhuta Karmanaha
Haribhuta karmanaha
Durvibhavyam Vibhavati
durvibhavyam ibhavati
Kavidishchapi chestitam
kavivichapi chestitam
Nunam, still insufficient.
Still insufficient.
Bhagavata,
Bhagavata
of the personality of Godhead.
of the personality of Godhead.
Brahman,
Brahman,
O learned Brahmana.
O learned Brahmana,
Hare, of the Lord.
of the Lord.
Abhuta,
Buddha,
wonderful.
Wonderful.
Kamanaha,
Karmanaha
one who acts.
one who acts.
Durvibhavyam,
Durvibhavyam,
inconceivable.
Inconceivable.
Eva,
Eva,
like that.
like that.
Abhati,
Abhati,
appears.
Appears.
Kavivi,
Kavivi,
even by the highly learned.
even by the highly learned.
Cha,
Cha,
also.
also.
Api,
Api,
in spite of.
in spite of.
Chestitam,
Chestitam,
being endeavored for.
Being endeavored for.
O learned Brahmana, the transcendental activities of the Lord are all wonderful, and they appear inconceivable, because even great endeavors by many learned scholars have proved insufficient for understanding them. Please repeat. O learned Brahmana,
O learned Brahmana,
the transcendental activities of the Lord
the transcendental activities of the Lord
are all wonderful,
are all wonderful,
and they appear inconceivable,
and they appear inconceivable,
because even great endeavors
because even great endeavors
by many learned scholars
by many learned scholars
have still proved insufficient
had still proved insufficient
for understanding them.
for understanding them.
Srila Prabhupada's divine purport.
Jai Srila Prabhupada.
The acts of the Supreme Lord in the creation of just this one universe appear inconceivably wonderful. And there are innumerable universes, and all of them aggregated together are known as the created material world. And this part of his creation is only a fractional portion of the complete creation. The material world stands as a part only. Ekam sena suto jagat, or stito jagat. Supposing that the material world is a display of one part of this energy, the remaining three parts consist of the Vaikuntha Jagat, or spiritual world, described in the Bhagavad Gita, is Madhamma, or Sanatana Dhamma, or the eternal world. We have marked in the previous verse that he creates again, that he creates and again winds up the creation. This action is applicable only in the material world, because the ever greater part of his creation, namely the Vaikuntha world, is neither created nor annihilated, Otherwise, the Vaikuntha world, otherwise the Vaikuntha Dham would not have been called eternal. The Lord exists with Dhamma, His eternal name, quality, pastimes, entourage, and personality are all a display of His different energies and expansions. The Lord is called Anadi, or having no creator, and Adi, or the origin of all. We think in our own imperfect way that the Lord is also created. But the Vedanta Sutra, or the Vedanta, informs us that He is not created. Rather, everything else is created by Him. Narayana Paro Vyaktat. Narayana Paro Vyaktat. Therefore, for the common man, these are all very wonderful matters for consideration. Even for great learned scholars, they are inconceivable. And thus such scholars present theories contradictory to one another. Even for the insignificant part of His creation, this particular universe, they have no complete information as to how far this limited space extends, or how many stars and planets are there, or the different conditions of those innumerable planets. Modern scientists have insufficient knowledge of all this. Some of them assert that there are 100 million planets scattered all over space. In a news release from Moscow, dated 2/21/60, the following piece of knowledge was relayed. Quote, Russia's well-known professor of astronomy, Boris, had to get cut to pronounce this, Varansko Viliamino, said that there must be an infinite number of planets in the universe inhabited by beings endowed with reason. It could be that life similar to that on Earth flourishes on such planets. Doctor of Chemistry, Nikolai Zero, I don't know if that's how you pronounce it.
Nikolai Zero.
Okay, thank you. Covering the problem of atmosphere on other planets, pointed out that the organisms of a Martian, for instance, could very well adapt itself to normal existence with a low body temperature. He said that he felt the gaseous composition of Martian atmosphere was quite suitable to sustain life of beings which have become adapted to it, unquote. This adaptability of an organism to different varieties of planets is described in the Brahma Samhita as vibhuti vinnam. Each and every one of the innumerable planets within the universe is endowed with a particular type of atmosphere, and the living beings there are more perfectly advanced in science and psychology because of a better atmosphere. Vibhuti means specific powers, and Vinnam means variability. Scientists who are attempting to explore outer space and are trying to reach other planets by mechanical arrangements must know for certain that organisms adapted to the atmosphere of Earth cannot exist in the atmospheres of other planets. See Easy Journey to Other Planets. One has to prepare himself, therefore, to be transferred to a different planet after being relieved of the present body. Isn't it said in the Bhagavad Gita 9:25, Yanti Deva Vrata Devan Pratin Yanti Prati Vrataha Uttani Yanti Duteja Yanti Mad Yajito Pimam. Those who worship the demigods will take birth among the demigods. Those who worship ghosts and spirits will take birth among such beings, and those who worship me will live with me. Maharaj Parikshit's statement regarding the workings of the creative energy of the Lord, workings of the creative energy of the Lord, disclosed that he knew everything of the process of creation. Why then did he ask Yogindra Goswami for such information? Maharaj Parikshit, being a great emperor, a descendant of the Pandavas, and a great devotee of Lord Krishna, was quite able to know considerably about the creation of the world. But that much knowledge was not sufficient. He said, therefore, that even greatly learned scholars fail to know about it. Even after great effort, the Lord is unlimited, and his activities are also unfathomed. With a limited source of knowledge and with imperfect senses, any living being, up to the standard of Brahmaji, the highest perfect living being within the universe, can never imagine knowing about the unlimited. We can know something of the unlimited when it is explained by the unlimited. It has been done by the Lord himself in the unique statements of the Bhagavad Gita, and it can also be known to some extent from realized souls like Sukadeva Goswami, who learned it from Vyasadeva, a disciple of Narada. And thus the perfect knowledge can descend by the chain of disciplic succession only, and not by any form of experimental knowledge, old or modern. Thus ends the Bhagavatam purport to the 8th verse, 4th chapter, 2nd canto, Srimad Bhagavatam, the process of creation. Jai Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. I offer my obeisances unto the lotus feet of His Divine Grace, Srila A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami, Srila Prabhupada, who is opening my eyes, although they are certainly shut by the darkness of ignorance. Rupa Goswami Prabhupada, who has established within the material world the mission to fulfill the desire of Lord Chaitanya, give me shelter in His lotus feet. Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. So Prabhupada, at the very end, he disclosed our system of understanding what we can't really conceive fully. I mean, we can see that there's light, because when there is no light, we can't see. So we can actually perceive that it's radiating from the sun globe. And we certainly understand that we're breathing in and breathing out, but we learn from our fathers and mothers and teachers that it's a substance called air, that contains oxygen and whatever the other part of it is. So there's different things that we can conceive, but we can't really understand things off of this planet. So we even have a hard time understanding the bottom of the ocean and exactly what is in the depths of the earth completely. We certainly have sciences that study these things, but people who are specialists who have spent their life studying it and going over all the information from other specialists, and still they're studying the earth, and they're studying the oceans, and they're studying the atmosphere, and certainly we know that they're studying space. and the different planets and stars and galaxies. But it's certainly, without a doubt, it's inconclusive, and therefore, everyone has inconclusive knowledge of it. So our system it's not exactly like that. It's not based on experimental knowledge or knowledge that can be understood through our mind or sense perception. It's really based on knowledge that comes down from Krishna and his representative. And it takes the form of books like Srimad Bhagavatam, Bhagavad Gita, and others. So that information has to be very delicately handed down. Prabhupada used to give the example of people that harvest mangoes. They had to have a chain of people that hand the mango down the line and put it in the basket, so that the mango doesn't become spoiled by taking a fall and putting a bruise on it, and therefore, when it goes to market, it's going to be not so valuable. So, same with our knowledge. We receive it from the spiritual master, and we have to hand it down perfectly, and we have to be very careful that it doesn't get mixed up with our interpretations and our perceptions and our thoughts and dreams, etc., that are not exactly in line, because we all have a conditioned state of existence. And that conditioned state is it's been not just decorated and ornamented, but it's been woven and like a uniform, like a thick uniform, almost like a cage around the soul. Even the word ropes are used. The soul's been tied up with ropes and can't get out, and is blind to the absolute truth. Krishna simply isn't revealed. Krishna reveals himself whomever he pleases, and at the same time there are many, many, many imposters, and many who will trick us, even within our own mind, thinking this is Krishna. Oh, it's Paramatma telling me. It's Krishna manifest to me. So it's not easy to figure out on our own, or to break off on our own and be our own person. Somehow we gained a little knowledge, and now I am representing the absolute truth, which is not relative like everything else. It stands on its own. Everything has come from it, and it is maintaining everything, and it is controlling everything. There are many, many, many people like that do that, especially people that are highly educated. They develop some pride, just like people who are strong, and they naturally develop some pride because they can excel in a certain thing. So when people are highly educated, the force of our pride is that we have our own school. It's like that in Vedic culture too. You have all these brahmanas, they have their teachers, but then they have their own school and their own disciples. And during Lord Chaitanya's time, they were all extremely competitive, just like physical people are. They have the championship, jiu-jitsu and judo and karate and this martial art and that martial art, and all the martial arts combined together, the boxers and the weightlifters, and just so many of them, that constantly compete and trying to break records and beat the next one and hold on to the championship for as long as possible. So it's like that in the intellectual world also. They're all competing with one another for supremacy. And Of course, Lord Chaitanya was the best of all of them, but he's Krishna, just like when Krishna came, he was the best of all of them. They all tried to fight with him, but, they lost. So, we do that, we tend to want to exhibit our prowess, but that's not how it works amongst Krishna's devotees. The devotees are always very humble, and people are afraid to be humble in the material world because other people take advantage of you. So no one wants to do that, but that's the requirement in the line of disciplic succession. One has to be humble and submissive before the spiritual master. Otherwise, there's no proof of devotion. There's only proof of somebody's academic ability or the ability to take advantage. But there's no proof that one will be submissive and hand the knowledge down to the next person uncontaminated. A real good example is there was one great scholar in Lord Chaitanya's Leela, really great scholar, and he went on to become a very powerful contemporary figure during Lord Chaitanya's time, contemporary of Lord Chaitanya. And to this day, he has a very powerful disciplic succession. Many, many devotees in Vrindavan. I can't remember his name right off.
Is he Keshav Kashmiri?
Huh?
Are you talking about Keshav Kashmiri?
No, not about him. He became devoted to Lord Chaitanya. Keshav Kashmiri, if I'm not mistaken. No, he also was devoted to Lord Chaitanya. He surrendered, became submissive. No. What is, they worship a particular deity of Krishna in Vrindavan. Very popular temples. Even our BTG wrote about them one time. And, everybody knows them. I just can't think of his name right now. Maybe when I tell the story, you'll remember. So Lord Chaitanya, he would come to Lord Chaitanya all the time and discuss the Bhagavatam. He was a Bhagavatam scholar. But he thought that his purports were better than Sridhar Maharaj's.
Oh, Venkata Bhatta.
Venkata Bhatta. But they also call him something else also, don't they? In his disciplic succession.
South India.
No, he's a Gujarati.
Gujarati, yes. So Venkata Bhatta was a really great scholar, but he had this pride to think that his purports were better than Sridhar Swami. Sridhar Swami is the original person in the modern era who purported the Bhagavatam to people in writing. And he's considered, one of the acharyas. And when Prabhupada would study his purports, he would also, when Prabhupada would compose his purports, he would also study the purports of Sridhar Swami, of Bhaktivinoda Thakur and his Guru Maharaj, Bhaktisiddhanta, and one other one, I think Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, who was approximately in the 18th century. But Sridhar Maharaj goes, if I'm not mistaken, all the way back to like the 13th century. So Venkata Bhatta thought that his purports were better. And when Lord Chaitanya heard that, he told him, oh, you're just like a prostitute. You don't stick with the husband. So Sridhar Swami is like the husband. We are the disciples. Who are we to say we are better than him? So there was this, disagreement between them. And he would come, but Lord Chaitanya would kind of ignore him. And eventually, I think there was some, I can't remember the entire story, but he may have received some blessing. He really tried to get the mercy of Lord Chaitanya, and he went off and eventually started his own disciplic succession. He didn't become a disciple of Lord Chaitanya specifically. He learned from Lord Chaitanya. Lord Chaitanya had many students that learned from him, but they also went off to not all of them, a lot, but some of them went off, and Venkata Bhatta certainly started his own line of disciplic succession with his own sort of twist. on the absolute truth, or his own Siddhanta. Siddhanta means the perfection of his philosophical conclusions concerning Vedanta. So, we are Gaudiya Vaishnavas, and we present the Gaudiya Vaishnava Siddhanta. Gaudiya Vaishnavas means we're devotees of Lord Chaitanya.
His name is Ballava Bhatta, my bad.
Ballava
Bhatta, Ballavacharya.
That's the popular name, Ballavacharya. Yeah. So Ballavacharya has his line of disciplic succession, and he's the Acharya. He doesn't come in our line there. He's a Vaishnava, but there's a slight difference. And he has many, many followers. They all are very devoted devotees of Krishna. Who do they worship? They worship not baby Krishna.
They worship the...
They worship the lifter of Govardhana.
Yeah.
They're a very popular temple in Vandana.
No, not.
And many of them have supported our movement. Have supported ISKCON. Many of them. So anyway, Lord Chaitanya, he taught like that. He would not go against the line of disciplic succession, and he also expected that submissiveness from his disciples. We're reading about Sanatana Goswami and Lord Chaitanya in the morning right now, and Sanatana is very submissive to Lord Chaitanya, but we see that Lord Chaitanya is very, loves him very much, and wants to utilize him as an instrument, and he's given him very valuable work that can only be accomplished by the empowerment of God. But Sanatana's qualification, we see that he's extremely humble. He's as qualified as Ballava Sain. Is it Ballava Sain? Ballava Bhatta. He's as qualified as him. He could have had his own line of disciplic succession. These two disciples of Lord Chaitanya and their nephew, were extremely brilliant people. They were Kashmiri Brahmanas, so they come in a dynasty of Brahmanas. They only took up the reign of ministers in the Mohammedan government because of the threat that their homes, their villages, their communities would be completely obliterated if they didn't surrender to the Muslim king. So, and plus, why would the Muslim king want to engage these Hindus? Because they were most intelligent people. They could speak Arabic, they could speak, I guess Urdu, whatever the native language was at that time. Plus, they knew Bengali, they knew whatever form of Hindi was being spoken at that time. They knew Sanskrit. They knew all these languages, they knew Persian even. They knew all these contemporary languages that were in that part of the world where where all the masters of the world were. English really wasn't a big thing to them at that time. English was just trying to go around the Horn of Africa to find India at that time. So therefore, the Nawab or the king, he engaged them, made them the ministers of his government, so he could just go off and fight. And he could go off and conquer more land and money and wealth and slaves and stuff like that. And, really, plus his personal harem, and all these things, he could do. That was his enjoyment. He was just like, on world wrestling, they enjoy, even though it may be staged, still they enjoy exhibiting their prowess and showing off before all their fans in the public and all their strength and their might and their muscles. So, but this was real on play. That's how it was in those days. Countries just didn't act like through diplomacy, and we send in, we simply work with apps, and we send in drones, and we try to take out the opposition, or we ride around in planes, and when we send in a military force, it's surrounded by all sorts of armor. They did do stuff like that with all sorts of armor, and they had certainly all their nuclear weapons, but not. That was in the previous era with Arjuna, not during 14th century. They, 15th century, you know, they were still fighting with swords and, you know, and different types of bows and with, you know, draft animals, you know, horses and elephants and all that. And, you know, they, you know, for an army to go in and just slay another army, you know, was typical. And it wasn't until the militias started attacking India that the civilians were dragged into it like that. They would just change governments, and the territories would stay the same. But when the Muslims came in, they destroyed the cities, or they simply took over the cities. If they didn't want the city, they would destroy it, and they would kill all the men, and, you know, they would, or at least all the warriors, and they would take whoever they wanted as slaves. You know, women and children, they would take them all the way back to Afghanistan or to Persia. That went on for, you know, 800 years before the British arrived, and then they were fighting with the British. And then there was constant warfare because the Hindus were having to protect themselves. And so there was sometimes constant exchange of land. You know, they destroy one city, the Hindus build it up, living there again, they come back, try and destroy it. They were these huge forts, you know, much bigger than a lot of the castles and stuff like that you would find in Europe. Very that, you know, were very hard to take. So all this stuff was going on, and that's why that person made Sanatana and Rupa Goswami ministers, because they could run the government while he was away, doing these things that he enjoyed doing. You know, he was such a, I forget the word that you would use, you know, for somebody like that. Power-hungry warmonger, you know. But when they met Lord Chaitanya, they gave it all up. They had everything at their disposal in the material world. You know, whatever princess they wanted, as much wealth as they wanted, as nice of a home as they wanted, as many servants as they wanted. They just had to administer the government. That's all. And so, but they left it all for Lord Chaitanya. Even though that person could have retaliated against their community. They were so struck with Lord Chaitanya as being the incarnation of Krishna that they didn't see anything other than their need for surrendering to him. And that even though they were so qualified, you know, with brains and well-being, they became completely submissive to Lord Chaitanya. Consequently, they became Lord Chaitanya's disciples. Same with Srila Prabhupada. You know, he expected the devotees to be submissive. Sometimes he was dealing with disciples who wanted to be gurus themselves before Srila Prabhupada had even left. And Srila Prabhupada would deal with them in different ways. Sometimes he would say, all right, you can have some disciples, but don't change anything. Or there would be two factions of groups, and they would be arguing with one another about one thing or another. And some were the local temple devotees, and others were having their own place. And they were doing things different, usually simple things like, you know, they didn't wear dhotis and they didn't shave their head, they were just long hair. Kind of like what we call, you know, hippie type of dress. But they were, you know, they were singing Hare Krishna and they were chanting and they were, you know, offering bhoga and doing some form of deity worship. And Prabhupada would try to encourage that, yes, you know, you can do all these things, but when one takes initiation, then they have to submit to the spiritual master. You know, what the spiritual master wants, you must do it. You know, and I want my disciples to shave their hair. You know, I want them to dress like ladies and gentlemen. I don't want them to be identified as hippies. You know, Prabhupada told them like that, but said that, you know, but you're welcome to follow. You know, there's no pressure. I'm not demanding anything, but if you want to take initiation, this is what I request. This is what, this is how it must be. You must do what I say. If I am to give you initiation, you must be submissive. Otherwise, you're welcome to take advantage of the teachings, to learn. Please don't change anything. But if you want to take initiation, then one must submit like that. So he in different times, different places, he would attempt to bring together different factions and get the groups to sit down and talk and work it out. But still, for what was ISKCON, it had to be completely submissive to what Prabhupada wanted, his initiated disciples, because in ISKCON, Prabhupada was initiating students. That's where his initiated students were. But some would go off and have some faction. Prabhupada would say, no, don't change things. Don't make any change in it. Because the knowledge has to be handed down perfectly. Otherwise, when people question, what is your school of thought? Who do you represent? And if you tell them, well, I am a disciple of so-and-so, then they can know what you're supposed to be teaching. And if they say, oh, but so-and-so doesn't teach like that, and the person may say, yeah, I'm a little bit different. So then, you may not get their full respect. Because there are many people who just create things. And it generally dies out by the time they die. But a lot of disciplic succession is only created by great souls coming down from Krishna. Like, there are 4 lines of disciplic succession that come down from Lord Vishnu or from Krishna. Only 4. They may have many branches, but all those branches are known. Just like we are the Gaudiya Vaishnava Sampradaya. It's a branch of the Madhva Sampradaya. It's a branch of the Brahma Sampradaya. Then amongst the Mayavadis, they have the disciplic succession coming down from Sankaracharya.
Prabhu, what are the 4?
The 4 come down from Brahma, Lakshmi, Shiva, and the original sons of Brahma, the Kumars. And they all have contemporary, modern, scholarly devotees that initiated students in the modern era. In our era, for us, it's Madhvacharya, and then Lord Chaitanya. For the Lakshmi Sampradaya, is Ramanujacharya, is the modern contemporary guru. And that was 1,000 years ago. But, they're still very potent. They still follow Ramanuja exactly. Ramanuja is their founder Acharya. Then the Kumar Sampradaya, if I'm not mistaken, it's the Kumar Sampradaya, it's Nimbarkar Acharya, who was an incarnation of Krishna's Sudarshan Chakra. Very powerful Acharya. They're still there, very strict, very powerful Sampradaya. And Shiva, the Shiva Sampradaya, I think, is represented by Vishnu Swami. I don't know much about Vishnu Swami or what the Shiva Sampradaya is doing in our world today. But they're all still there. Bhaktisiddhanta used to write about them.
Do we have any empowered personalities living today?
Well, I'm sure the disciples of many of Prabhupada's disciples feel their Guru Maharaj is very empowered. One cannot spread Krishna consciousness without being empowered. How can you spread religion or Dharma or Krishna consciousness without Krishna empowering you? Krishna may take everything away if one is distorting the knowledge. Just like many times you see different ministers, they're preaching and they gain big followings, but then there's some scandal and they lose everything. So any devotee that's preaching and teaching there's people that want to follow them, then you have to consider that they're in power. Why would people want to follow them? What are they? They're not teaching people how to make money, because those people also have followers. I mean, look at all the financial gurus, how many followers they have. Everybody who's kind of like took information from them and made $1 million of their followers, and they're just passing the information on for generally charging for it. Or you learn it in some school, So, yeah, there's many empowered souls that are in our movement today. I mean, how do you think Prabhupada's movement went on?
No, I mean empowered like Prabhupada was empowered.
Well, Prabhupada was empowered with purity, so when it's handed down and you present it purely, then that's the line of disciplic succession. I mean, when you say like Prabhupada, I mean, how do you judge then Prabhupada? I mean, if you just judge by temples being made and disciples being made, his disciples have excelled that. But if you judge according to the books, we don't change the books. Now, I know there's some controversy about, some editing things, but the people who edit, they say they're not changing. But, they have their, so it's an internal controversy that's being sorted out, because they're looking at original manuscripts and stuff like that. And, others are saying, no, but it was published like this, so we should just leave it like that. And then they say, oh, but Prabhupada said, don't reprint without correcting the mistakes. I mean, that's an internal thing, but the point is that we only use Prabhupada's books. Now, his disciples have also written books Prabhupada used to criticize some of the Gaudiya monks. All they're doing is still selling the same books after 40 years. I mean, if you're a Brahmin means scholar. Scholar means that they can write. They can do research, they can teach. So, why haven't they published any new books to help people? You see, amongst Prabhupada's disciples, they're always writing books. Prabhupada encouraged it from the very beginning. Write down your realizations. He put devotees in to take over his magazine right from the very beginning. He created that magazine back to Godhead. And he turned it over right in the very beginning. Satsarup Maharaj, if I'm not mistaken, was the first editor of BTG. And his disciples were writing the articles. So, he engaged his disciples in, writing and editing right from the very beginning. And that goes on today. Just like Kalakanta passed through here. And he has his rap Gita. Bhagavad Gita written in free verse for contemporary people. Many times when I'm distributing books and I'm preaching to people, I give them that book because I can see that this is the book the person will read and like. Otherwise, that particular person, they're just going to get bored reading this or reading that because they don't have the purity or the motivation, the enthusiasm that they'll like this particular religion. I remember one time I sent one of Kalakanta's books. I sent that same rap Gita before it was the rap Gita, because it's just a take on the very first free verse Bhagavad Gita that he wrote. So I sent the very first book that he wrote. I sent to some person who lived way up in Montana. And so I wrote him a letter, and I thought, this person, this would be a good book for that person. I sent it to him. And then next thing I know, a year later, he's at the Krishna house. And he went on to become a disciple of Kalakanta. And what does that mean? That means that he is loyal to Srila Prabhupada, the disciplic succession. How can you be a disciple of Prabhupada's disciples without being loyal to Prabhupada? Because Prabhupada is our founder Acharya. Just like the Ramanujas, they all initiated disciples for 1,000 years, but Ramanuja is the founder Acharya. And it's his Siddhanta, or his philosophical conclusions that have to be preached. The same with we only preach Prabhupada's philosophical conclusions. We don't preach Narayan Maharaj's philosophical conclusions. He has a different branch of the Gaudiya Vaishnava Sampradaya. I don't know if that makes it any clearer. That's just the traditional way. This has always been. This is the way our schools of thought work. And this is the way it works in our heritage. Just like things work a certain way in modern academics. You can't claim to have a degree without having a degree. And they give out very few honorary degrees. Very few. Just like when Tamal Krishna, he wanted to get a degree from the University of Southern Methodist. And he said, I have done this and I've done this and I've done that in life. I would like to get credit for that. And they refused him. They said, no, you have to go through the standard. If you want a degree from here, you have to go through the standard routine. And he did. And when he passed away before finishing his PhD thesis, his professor finished it for him so that they could award him his PhD doctorate after his passing. So,
Like an artist.
yeah. So, there's this system that we find in the modern world for scholastics, Doing the same thing in our line of disciplic succession. And there were many universities in India. It wasn't just the country of heritage that was destroyed, but the Muslims would destroy all of the Hindu universities, Brahminical universities, completely eradicate them. And then they would establish their Muslim universities.
We eradicate the heritage, but never the personalities, right?
Huh?
Still, we have many personalities.
Yeah, because everything was kept by the line of disciplic succession. Everything was kept in place by a line of disciplic succession despite the difficulties. There always was a line of disciplic succession. Just like also, Vedic culture, they may criticize it, but it still existed because Krishna's teachings were there and people practiced varnashram. And there were dynasties of Brahmanas, Vaishyas, Sudras, and Kshatriyas. And they kept their knowledge or their heritage in place and how to operate in society despite the constant being undermined and attacked and stolen from and run off and stuff like that, And they put there to fight for themselves too, so they were always, strongholds, so to speak. Yeah, Mother.
Bhagavad said, we notice in the Bhagavad Gita at night when we read there is a pretty big difference. I know they changed, but where is the place that we can call and find out? I'm sure they have an explanation.
There is BBT edit.
Yeah, you got to go to bbtedit.com.
You got it?
Everything is there.
And then they'll explain why they changed it.
Yeah.
No, I'm not gonna find out. We just noticed that there is difference in the
Which verse was it?
I don't know where it is.
Like the-
Generally, we all have different books when we're reading from, so sometimes it's different.
Yeah, but which verse was it? Which you said was
Oh, there's so many.
I didn't
all the
actually
time.
note it down. We just
As we go, we see it. One will have a different and the other one will have a different.
Sometimes even the purport was left out. You'll find the purport there's one place where you find the purport in the very original Gita that was printed by Macmillan, where they strongly edited Prabhupada's book and left out a lot. Prabhupada never liked it because they didn't print the whole thing. They just wanted to do a small paperback. So when they did the big one, somehow in the manuscript, there was a purport left out. That was actually even in the little book that Macmillan did. So when they did the 1983 edition, they put that purport back in. But there's so many things like that.
There's also like sometimes purpose, like the places have changed. For example, there were some verses about work and the mode of passion, goodness or happiness in the mode of goodness, and like the purpose was about mode of ignorance, but the verse is about mode of passion. So it's just changed, and they just
Yes, yeah, so anyway, the GBC and the BBT, they're trying to work all this out, so that the devotees are more happy with their offerings.
The Litvics is the one who really gets upset at this.
Well, yeah, because that's something they can challenge ISKCON on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's something that's an opportunity.
Give us the original book. I don't find it a big change. I think the wording they're trying to make it sound a little bit more like how it fits in the paragraph, but why is that? Where and how, maybe all the books should be the same.
There is a book I saw, I didn't read it yet, it's called Responsible Editing, and it's like some different articles and quotes from Prabhupada. It's lying on the shelf. Maybe you can read it.
But they had any strong reason why they changed? Like,
Yeah,
They have it there.
they explain all that. They feel their reasons are strong, but their adversaries or opposition, their strong point is that it shouldn't be changed. That's just their strong point. Because Prabhupada passed away, the book should be left the same.
same.
Then they argue, and it's just so right now there's some different scholars that in ISKCON that have formed a group that are searching out the most scholastic ways of presenting an author's work, and then BBT itself is also making decisions about this, and hopefully they can all sit down together and work it out. It's a pretty big issue on the GBC too. So ISKCON and the BBT, they're deciding how to do this. Amongst everybody has an opinion about it. So, I would be just also expressing my opinion. So we have to see what comes down. But the thing is, whatever one wants to read, it's available. BBT also prints the Macmillan version of the Bhagavad Gita. They print that also, if one wants to buy that. We just usually don't sell as many of those.
We saw one prominent word, demon and enemies. Demons and enemies are like two different things, or they're the same?
Demon and enemies?
Yeah.
It depends on how the word is used.
I guess they didn't want to use the word demon, sounded that way.
Yeah, they changed the word from demon to enemies,
Enemies.
and this is in the context related to Arjuna when he was speaking to Krishna in Bhagavad Gita chapter 11.
11.
I'm not sure.
Oh, watch out.
But it's
We saw
And
it.
why they did that, I don't know. You'd have to go to BBT
Yeah,
and see. It may be explained that, Prabhupada had used that word originally. And because Prabhupada's original editor was Hayagriva. And Hayagriva, he's the one who edited Prabhupada's books for him. And then after Hayagriva, it was Jayadvaita up until he just recently resigned late last year.
Does he take any disciples?
Not right now.
Yes.
He has disciples, but he's not taking disciples.
On a different note, Radhastami is coming, so I'd like everyone to think about it. Papa has put a flyer I've never seen before in my life. So pretty, it's out there, I saw it on Instagram.
You have Instagram?
Very nice flyer on Radhastami Day. But we need to post that, talk to the Indians on Sunday, please, or different people. We should post it all over and try to do a
There is already, I sent some groups already reach out, so they're forwarding also.
and it's on the website and on Facebook.
please look into that. Very colorful and pretty. I just happened to bump into it yesterday. There is a guest coming today, I heard, to the trailer by Nishinga Prabhu sending.
He sent a message to me. But
Did
how
you know
much?
that?
Yeah, like some devotees from Dallas. I forget their names though.
So what is their lunch or dinner? or what?
Venkat Kumar or something like that's their legal name. Venkat Kumar or something like that. I don't think they'll be here by lunch, but probably by dinner.